Thank you so much. I'll go ahead and give the nod to the secretary that she may begin her recording. And welcome to the Senate Committee on Growth and Infrastructure. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Senator Brooks? Senator Hammond? Senator Pickard? Senator Spearman? Chair Harris?
Here. Please mark Senators Brooks, Hammond, and actually Senator Hammond is present. So please mark Senator Brooks and Pickard present as they arrive. And I will, and Senator Hammond here. And I will endeavor to also give you an audible indication that they are here as well. We have 3 members present, so we have a quorum. Just a quick reminder, please be courteous and respectful with others during the meeting, even if you disagree. For those participating on Zoom, be sure to mute your microphone when you're not speaking. First item on the agenda today is Assembly Bill 12. We have Mr. Cole Mortensen with us to present that bill. Mr. Mortensen, go ahead and begin when you're ready.
Good afternoon, Chair Harris and members of the committee. My name, for the record, is Cole Mortensen. It's Mortensen, and I will be presenting Assembly Bill 12. It's got 2 parts, and it's relatively simple. To give you a little bit of background, at the Department of Transportation over the last 2.5 to 3 years, we've had 4 deputy directors retire, and it was brought to our attention that the current statute is a little bit limiting for us in helping us pull a better pool of candidates to select from. So the first part is changing some of the language in the minimum qualifications for the deputy director position, in requiring 15 years of progressively responsible engineering or project management experience, and then cleaning up some of the other language with regards to the head of the engineering or planning division. The second part of the bill is just some cleanup on the requirement of the chief engineer. I believe that this was a holdover from 2012 when the assistant directors for the department became unclassified employees for the state, and so this is really just kind of clean up from there. So we still feel that the chief engineer should be one of the assistant directors, a deputy, or the director, and all of those positions are presently unclassified positions. And that concludes my presentation.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Mortensen. Are there any questions from committee members? All right, seeing none, we will go ahead and move on to testimony. BPS, if you could open up the line for those who'd like to testify in support of AB 12.
Thank you, Chair Harris. Callers, if you'd like to testify in support of AB 12, please press star 9 now to enter the queue. Will the caller with the last 3 digits of 232 please state and spell your name for the record? You may begin.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is David Dazlich, spelled D-A-Z-L-I-C-H, Director of Government Affairs for the Vegas Chamber. Just wanted to register ourselves in support of AB 12. We've been in support of this measure on the Assembly side and would like you to know that we're continuing to support as it makes its way through the Senate side. Thank you.
Chair Harris, at this time, there are no additional callers.
All right, thank you. Let's see if we have any callers in opposition to AB 12.
Callers, if you'd like to testify in opposition to AB 12, please press star 9 now to enter the queue. Chair, at this time, the public line is open and working. However, there are no callers wishing to give testimony in opposition.
All right, how about the neutral position?
Thank you, Chair. Callers, if you'd like to testify in neutral position for AB 12, please press star 9 now to enter the queue. Once again, Chair, the public line is open and working. However, there are no callers wishing to give a neutral testimony. Oh, I'm sorry.
All right.
Caller was
go
just
ahead.
admitted. Caller, we are on testimony in a neutral position for AB 12. If you would like to give testimony in that neutral position, please press star 9 now. All right, sorry about that, Chair. At this time, the caller is not wishing to give a neutral testimony either.
Okay, thank you for checking. With that, we'll go ahead and close out the testimony. Mr. Mortensen, would you like to make any closing comments?
Thank you, Chair Harris. I have no further comments.
All right, we will go ahead and then close the hearing on AB 12 and open up the hearing on AB 41. And I believe we have, let's see, Miss
Bourgeois.
Bourgeois.
Yes.
Miss Bourgeois. Just quick note before I turn it over to you, we have Vice Chair Brooks who's joined us for the secretary. Please mark him present. All right, Miss Bourgeois, please go ahead and begin when you're ready.
Thank you. If you don't mind giving me one moment, I'm going to pull up my presentation. Wonderful. Hopefully everybody can see this. Good afternoon, Chair Harris and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Maya Bourgeois. I'm the Interim Chief with Administrative Services for NDOT. And I'm here to represent AB 41 and provide you an overview of our proposed changes. Overdimensional vehicle permits is regulated by NRS 484D and NAC 484D. The overdimensional section is responsible for issuing oversized overweight permits for the entire state. Oversized overweight vehicles include all non-reducible, non-divisible vehicle combinations or loads that exceed 80,000 pounds gross weight, exceed 8 feet 6 inches in width, or exceed 14 feet in height, or exceed 10 feet of front and rear overhang, or exceed 70 feet in length, as well as shorter overweight vehicles that qualify as a commodity that exceeds 80,000 pounds gross weight but does not exceed 70 feet in length. Since 2017, ODVP has issued on average 33,212 permits per year. Currently, this section is comprised of only 2 employees, 1 supervisor, and 1 permit agent. There are 3 areas of NRS 484D that NDOT is proposing to change. These changes will improve public and infrastructure safety, streamline the permit application process, and align the requirements with the growth of the manufactured and mobile home industry. The following is a quick overview of the current requirements. Within NRS 484D.605 and .725, the measuring of the height, width, and length of a load is not specified. Next, within 484D.685, .715, .720, and .725, the requirements state that permit applications must be made in writing. Lastly, within NRS 484D.720, there is restrictive language that does not allow manufactured or mobile homes over 16 feet wide to travel on Nevada roadways and highways. NDOT is proposing the following changes. Adding clarifying language to NRS 484D.605 and .725 on how a load is to be measured. In regards to the height, it'll be from the surface on which the vehicle carrying the load stands, length from the front bumper or front overhang to the rear bumper or rear overhang, whichever is greater. Width will be from the widest point on each side. Specifying how to measure loads will provide consistency across the industry and reduce potential risks to public safety and or damage to infrastructure. Under 484D.685, .715, .720, and .725, we're proposing to expand how applications can be submitted by removing the restrictive words in writing. This will allow the department to collect applications through different methods, with the focus being on electronic submissions. This will align with our current practices and online permitting system, reduce the manual data entry by ODVP staff, and streamline the application process, which will result in issuing permits quicker. The proposed changes to NRS 484D.720 is to allow the department to grant a waiver to permit the transport of a manufactured or mobile home or any similar size of structure or vehicle structure that are wider than 16 feet with additional conditions. This waiver will remove the restrictive barrier and allow for continued growth of the industry. This will also align Nevada with our neighboring states of Arizona, Oregon, and Idaho, who currently allow 16-wide transports of manufactured or mobile homes. In addition, this will provide an opportunity for citizens to be able to purchase larger homes and or companies or citizens to purchase larger modular buildings and or office trailers. In closing, these changes will allow the department to update and align our application process with the current practices and methods, enhance public and infrastructure safety by clarifying how a load is measured, and allow manufactured or mobile homes over 16 wide to travel on Nevada roadways and highways with additional conditions. Thank you for your consideration. I'm available to answer any questions.
All right, thank you so much for being with us today. For the Secretary, I'd like to note that Senator Pickard has joined us. Good to see you. Are there any questions at this time? Senator Spearman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have one. What does that do with safety? 16 feet wide. So what does that mean for public safety? And I'm sure you all have, probably brainstormed this around when you were coming up with these provisions, but I'm still concerned about who's on the left, who's on the right, and what does that mean?
Thank you for the question. For the record, my name is Maya Bourgeois. We do have parameters set. Currently, we have NACs that follow guidelines with certain lengths and the weight restrictions on there. In accordance with those, we have pilot cars. So anything over 12 wide, we automatically have pilot cars attached to these certain loads. And depending on how wide they go, it's either one or two pilot cars, one at the front, one in the rear. Currently, the manufacturing and mobile home industry does comply with those at this time. The additional condition that we would have on there would be requiring an NHP escort. Right now, NHP escorts are not required on anything less than 17 feet. However, since we're moving in this new direction, we will have NHP required on these transports for anything over 16 feet wide for the manufacturing and mobile homes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any additional questions? Okay, seeing none, we will go ahead and turn it over to BPS to walk us through testimony. Please go ahead and open up the lines for testimony in support of AB 41.
Thank you, Chair. Callers, if you'd like to testify in support of AB 41, please press *9 now to enter the queue. Will the caller with the last 3 digits of 580 please press *6 to try to unmute yourself? Thank you, caller. Please state and spell your name for the record. You may begin.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, I'm Paul Enos. That is E-N-O-S. I am the CEO of the Nevada Trucking Association, speaking today in support of Assembly Bill 41. We do appreciate the clarifying language in terms of how you measure a load. It gets rid of some arguments that could happen between law enforcement and our industry roadside. Although most of these measurements are already accepted by industry on a wholesale level. We also do appreciate the movement of the department to electronic submission. We do think that this is the right way to go. We are very fortunate to have a great team at NDOT under Ms. Bourgeois that does a phenomenal job of getting these permits issued and we do think having that electronic submission will take some of that workload off and hopefully enable more efficiency within that department. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Chair, at this time, there are no additional callers wishing to give testimony in support of AB 41.
Okay, is there anybody who'd like to give testimony in opposition to AB 41?
Thank you, Chair. Callers, if you'd like to testify in opposition to AB 41, please press *9 now to enter the queue. Chair, the public line is open and working. However, there are no callers wishing to give testimony in opposition to the bill.
All right, is there anyone who'd like to testify in the neutral position?
Callers, if you would like to give testimony in the neutral position for Assembly Bill 41, please press *9 now to enter your place to the queue. Chair Harris, at this time, there are no callers wishing to give a neutral testimony.
All right, we'll close out testimony. Do you have any closing remarks that you'd like to make?
Thank you, Chair Harris. I don't have any at this time.
All right, I will then close the hearing on AB 41 and open the hearing on AB 43. We have Mr. Daniels with us. Mr. Daniels, welcome. Go ahead and begin when you are ready. Oh, we cannot hear you.
Thank you, Chair Harris and members of the committee. I appreciate that. Screen share. Okay, excellent. For the record, Seth Daniels, Assistant Chief Traffic Operations Engineer for the Nevada Department of Transportation, presenting on Assembly Bill 53. So to start off, brief history on the call boxes. 1960s marked the first installation of highway call boxes. These were solar-powered emergency call systems on 10 miles of freeway in Los Angeles. The main proliferation of these call boxes occurred in the 1980s and 1990s, with roughly 16,000 units installed statewide in California, nearly 3,000 units on the Florida Turnpike, and around 1,000 units installed on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. So the last nationwide survey that was identified in our literature search on this, it showed that these three example states accounted for 20,000 of the 24,000 call boxes installed in the U.S. on highways, the rest being distributed among the other 18 states who installed these systems, including Nevada. In comparing the 2003 survey to a nationwide survey performed in 1996, less than 300 call boxes were installed in that 7-year period, indicating a plateau. We were unable to find any recently installed highway call boxes outside of, only in areas of poor cellular service, none in long stretches of road. So specific to Nevada, NRS 408.569 was established in 1993, giving NDOT the ability to install a system of telephones on the most frequently traveled highways and directing a study to identify best practices. That statute was amended again in 2001, changing the may to a shall and directing that installation of a system of communications between the California border and Las Vegas, including an appropriation of $500,000 at the time. So that's a little history. So we've now reached end of manufacturer support for the call box system hardware, are nearing end of functionality for the radio technology used, and our volumes have become consistently low as we search through the system logs on these sites and as shown on the slide. So regular discussions about the future of the system began approximately 3 years ago in monthly meetings between NHP radio and dispatch staff, NDOT District 1 communications maintenance staff, and the NDOT traffic Operations Technology Group. At that time, Julie Butler from NHP, representing their dispatch group, of course, she's now the director of the DMV, asked about the removal of the call box system due to continued low volume of calls. Now, these discussions were necessarily involved. Our call boxes have been an effective tool during their nearly 20-year lifespan, and even specific at recent instances over the last several years. And it's certainly understandable that there may be some differences of opinion, and our focus is on helping motorists that may be stranded. We also wanted to make sure that research of national practices supported any recommendations we move forward with. We found that both installations and removals remained relatively quiet between the early 2000s and the early 2010s. And for our example states, call boxes on the Florida Turnpike were completely removed, excepting 4 call boxes on a bridge that were updated and rerouted to a crisis counseling system for suicide prevention, which I felt was a great use. And the call boxes on the Pennsylvania Turnpike were completely removed in 2017. California was a little harder to track. Ongoing project funding was created through a dedicated amount added to vehicle registration fees, but was dispersed to regional transportation organizations for the installation and maintenance. Documents in the literature search indicate approximately 75% of the call boxes in California had been removed by 2017, and there was not a lot of data available after these major removals were complete, as they had been on a much smaller scale. But overall, I guess the least aggressive standard for call box removal found in our research was at 5 or fewer calls per box per year. And as national usage declines, we're fairly consistent, between 95 and 98% by 2018. So, and now, the risk has definitely changed with distracted drivers and stuff. And it's interesting that research performed in the 90s found a low rate of risk exiting vehicles on highways for activities such as using the call boxes. As shown by that 12% figure, there's a stark contrast to current national research, statistics, and best practices. There are many factors involved. Like we said, distracted or impaired driving would probably be at the top. Now, the stopping recommendations shown on the slide were pulled from their AAA guidelines and are also widespread in regional and national programs such as zero fatalities. Of course, there are situations where exiting a vehicle will be necessary and occupants should clear the roadway prism to the extent possible. Also, given this information, walking along the interstate to the nearest call box is of a strong concern for safety. And even though first responders are significantly more equipped, unfortunately, they're not immune to the dangers of stopping or being outside their vehicle on the highway. Their training and best practices have been established through traffic incident management programs, so they are aware of the risk and a little better to respond to it being outside their vehicles. So the estimates we received to replace the system, if that is what's desired, came in between 500 and 700,000, including ongoing service charges and maintenance costs. We'd probably have to purchase a lot of spares as these systems are, vandalized and hit frequently. And that's been a challenge with us keeping them operational this long. And of course, this system would be a solar-powered, cellular-based system due to cost, simplicity, and reliability. We're also focusing on other things for this high-volume section of roadway. It's consistently patrolled by NHP. It's one of their main routes, and NDOT Freeway Service Patrol for peak travel days. Our Freeway Service Patrol program has logged over 41,000 mitigations in the Las Vegas area in the last fiscal year of record, which was FY20. So it is a very successful program, and we're really getting the numbers and assisting motorists through that program. Also, the rollout of the 5G infrastructure is set to provide substantial coverage increases statewide. The FCC has published estimates that over 300,000 small cell antenna installations will occur nationwide in the next 5 years. We have the FirstNet program, as well as a lot of other initiatives driving that and predicting like a 97% coverage in Nevada, in conjunction with agencies such as the State Division of Emergency Management. So, we're also looking at traffic management platforms. One we use is Waycare. It's utilized to combine our data camera feeds with user applications such as Waze. When something is reported, like a disabled vehicle in Waze, that automatically gets pushed through our dispatcher system and to their dashboards. So we can check those out as well. So, and connected vehicles continue to advance with roadside assistant features and automated emergency notifications. This evolves all the way back to OnStar in 1996. So here's just a coverage map, and the area in question is that I-15 South Corridor, and it's all of the carriers were fairly consistent. This is just a sample, showing a good saturation of coverage, predominantly 5G, as well as, the cell phone usage and smart zone usage being up around 98% of adults in the USA currently. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much, Mr. Daniels. Are there any questions from committee members? Senator Pickard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just one, and that has to do with the call boxes that are in areas where we don't have good cellular coverage. There's a lot of them. I drive them now and again. If I'm driving up to Ely or I'm driving to between Las Vegas and here, I go through many dead spots where I have no signal at all. Is the intent then to maintain these boxes in those areas until we have sufficient cell service, or is it more likely that we'll have cell service there? I mean, my concern is if we're not maintaining this system, at least the technology, and supporting it and keeping it going, it may fall away by attrition and leave those areas completely unsupported. So how do we make sure that we get those areas covered?
Excellent questions. For the record, Seth Daniels with Nevada DOT. Yeah, through this by far is our oldest system. We currently have other call boxes that are they are cellular based, but they have a lot stronger antenna, more than what you would have on your personal cell phone. And we are leaving this open. The I-15 corridor in general, that's the portion that this bill, that requirement for that portion. But we do still want the remainder of this legislation in there. So we have the option to place call boxes as needed in areas that are, like you said, dead spots, or it's kind of hard to track because all of the carriers have a little bit different coverage, but certainly we want to leave it open as an option for problem areas that will get used, and areas that do not have proper cell coverage.
All right, yeah, because I want to make sure, when I read this, I thought this was essentially eliminating all call boxes, and then I recognized that that's not necessarily the case, and it's permissive anyway. So just want to make sure we're on the record. You guys are going to keep all of us safe in all those dead spots.
Are there any additional questions at this time? All right, seeing none, BPS, please open up testimony in support for AB 53.
Thank you, Chair. At this time, we have no callers at all on the line. Would you like to take a brief pause to allow callers to call in?
Sure. Let's give it 30 seconds and then we'll double check.
Thank you, Chair. Standing by.
All right, how about now?
Chair Harris, at this time, the public line is open and working. However, there are no callers.
Okay, we will go ahead and close out the testimony then on AB 53. Unless you wanted to make any closing remarks, Mr. Daniels.
I do not. Thank you, Chair Harris. I really appreciate it. And I would say to reach out. I know I've received some comments through the assembly about some problem areas. I know I've lived in Elko and Las Vegas, as well as now northwestern Nevada. So I do understand their concerns as I travel the state. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you for being with us. We will again go ahead and close the hearing on AB 53. And at this time, I would accept a motion to do pass AB 12, AB 41, and AB 53.
So moved, Chair. Yep. I would second that.
All right, looks like we've got a motion from everybody. For the record, we'll say a motion from Senator Hammond and a second from Senator Pickard. Any discussion on the motion? All right, will the secretary please go ahead and call the roll?
Senator Brooks,
Yes.
Senator Hammond,
Yes.
Senator Pickard,
Yes.
Senator Spearman,
Yes.
Chair Harris.
Yes. I will, just for the record, assign the floor statement for AB 12 to Senator Pickard, AB 41 to Senator Hammond, and AB 53 to myself. All right. With that, we'll open up our work session. We have one item on, it's AB 26. I'll turn it over to Ms. Scully to walk us through that one.
Thank you, Chair Harris. For the record, Susan Scully with the Research.
Ms. Scully, you went back on mute.
Sorry, I hit my keyboard. Assembly Bill 26 revises provisions governing energy assistance programs, was sponsored by the Division of Welfare and Supportive Services in the Department of Health and Human Services and heard in this committee on March 24th. This bill clarifies that the annual report regarding the Fund for Energy Assistance and Conservation prepared by the Division of Welfare and Supportive Services in DHHS must specify the amount of money in the fund that has, 1, been allocated to and received by the division on or before June 30 of all preceding fiscal years, and 2, remains unspent and unencumbered as of December 31 of the fiscal year in which the report is made. This bill also clarifies that the division may be required to distribute to the Housing Division in the Department of Business and Industry a certain percentage of money in the fund that is unspent and unencumbered on or before June 30 of all preceding fiscal years. No amendments were proposed, and the vote in the Assembly was unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Scully. Any questions from committee members? Okay, seeing none, I'll accept a motion to do pass AB 26. Motion from Senator Spearman.
Second.
Second from Vice Chair Brooks. Any discussion on the motion? All right, will the secretary please call the roll?
Senator Brooks,
Yes.
Senator Hammond,
Yes.
Senator Pickard,
Yes.
Senator Spearman,
Yes.
Chair Harris.
Yes, motion passes unanimously. I'll go ahead and assign that floor statement to Senator Spearman. Sharing the love today. All right, everyone. That'll close out our work session. Let's open it up for public comment.
Thank you, Chair. Callers, if you would like to give public comment, please press star 9 now to enter the queue. Once again, if you'd like to make public comment, please press star 9 now to enter the queue. Chair Harris, at this time, there are no callers wishing to give public comment.
All right, thank you so much. Are there any comments from members before we adjourn? All right, just a heads up, everyone. We'll be on a short hiatus to allow us time to get our work done on the floor ahead of first House passage. And so we will be adjourned until Wednesday, April 21st at 3:30 p.m. See you all then.